we are again discussing what has been, in my opinion, one of the most forgettable days for an Indian side in quite a few years now. There have always been some question marks around the white ball setup, but the red ball setup seems well oiled, and over the years we have sort of been experienced into having India performing away from home as well, just like they do at home. But what we witnessed today was a proper early 2000 to mid 2010 vibes, early 2010s to mid 2010 vibes, where uh, there were questionable choice of bowlers. Team was bereft of plans. If there were any plans, the bowlers did not stick to them, and overall low on energy in the field. I have Nikhil and Anirudh Suresh with me. Boys, first thoughts. I'll start with Nikhil. How would you sum up that day?
Vibes only. Right from the selection to the execution, and lot of talk, very less walking of the talk. Lot of talk about preparation, lot of talk about plans and all. Didn't seem to come through. And again, not being very ranty about it. Like, oh, what this, what that. But the thing is, when you pick 11 like that, and then you're opting to bowl first, the last thing that you, again, let's go to the famous three words: control the controllables. I don't think India did that well in many of the things that they did today.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And Anirudh must be chuffed being an Aussie
Delighted.
fan. Yeah, the day, I mean, it couldn't have gone any better for Australia, right, Anirudh? Or do you see it any differently?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think even Cummins in his wildest dreams would have imagined that they would lose the toss and then finish on 327 for three in not even 90 overs. So, it's just, I mean, it was probably I can't remember more one-sided days in this WTC cycle for India alone. I mean, it's just sad that it's come, on day one or the very first day of the World Championship final, because we know how much it was built up, and we were all looking forward to it. And the last WTC final was very close for at least the first 5 days before India kind of capitulated in the morning of the sixth day. But uh, I mean, we thought it would be again an even contest after Khwaja got out, but the wheels came off so quickly after Travis had just batted like 20-25 balls for India. I mean, it was just very unusual, and the reason they picked four seamers in the first place was, to control the innings, and to get the timely breakthroughs even at the cost of a few runs. But in the end, as it turned out, they didn't control, they didn't get wickets as well, and so you know they are gonna play catch up for the next few days as things stand right now. So it's the worst day imaginable for India. I feel. I don't think anyone saw this coming at all. Like, even
Yeah.
neutral venue and all, it's fine, but with conditions overcast, India winning the toss and bowling first, green pitch. Most of the Aussie players have not batted for a while now. Nobody could have seen this coming.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
I mean,
it is actually very apt that the one guy who showed for Australia today was the guy who was their best player in the WTC in this cycle, and
Yeah.
the one guy who shone for India was on the bench. So it just sums up and very aptly the day for India.
yeah, I mean, good that you pointed out about certain players being on the bench, because let's just discuss the playing 11 as well. I mean, just before the test was about to begin, I was just chatting with a colleague of mine, and he told me that he just has a feeling that A, Ashwin won't play, and B, both Umesh and Shardul would be the 11. That means no room for Ronatkar. And I was like, if that is happening, I'm not supporting India in this test. And that actually happened. And here I am. I'm not as Usually when on such days I'm a little sad. I'm a little angry. But today I'm like immune, because if you're not even starting with a proper 11, then there's hardly any point supporting a team who can't just get the basics right. What do you guys think about India's 11 today? Nikhil, again, I'll start with you, because I know Anirudh would be happy.
And it should be, because India have been very generous in terms of their selections when they play away from home. Sometimes they don't carry their best players. Sometimes most of them are injured. But this one, I think they set up this was set up to fail. I mean, in 2023, if you are picking Umesh and Shardul and you're expecting control from them, then everything is wrong with what you're thinking about the game and the two players involved. It's not fair on the two players as well. And for what it's worth, I know there's a lot of talk about data, but if a guy has 400 test wickets, I'm not saying he'll take 10, but at least he'll give you control. And in this lineup, there is nobody who can control the bowling innings. So again, sometimes it just feels that the team is, I like always in a bubble, and they want to think things in a particular way. Last time also, see, I buy the point that last time in England, Ashwin did not play, but you had a Bumrah. You cannot take things for granted and assume that people will just step up and do it. We should,
Yeah.
and it's not long before we should start talking about Shami as well. That you won the toss, fine. You dropped Ashwin, okay, you took a risk. But what is Shami bowling? If Siraj was the best bowler for India right through, what is Shami doing? How many years are you going to tell him that he's unlucky? Why cannot he bowl full? How much experience does he need to start taking wickets early? It's just, I mean, the way India attacked Travis Head as well. Once they got Manas Labuschagne, they went very full there. Have they not seen Travis Head bat? Sometimes this reeks of lack of preparation, which is very weird for the team that did so well in Australia. That rookies like Tina Trajan and everybody, they were bowling to their field. There was no let up. There was clear strategy, clear execution. But time and again, these are your best possible options in terms of experience, and the result is for you to see.
Yeah, I mean, Nikhil is clearly angrier than me, and I don't know if he's angrier than Gurkirat as well, who couldn't join us because he's having a high fever. So get well soon, Paji. But I mean, there are a lot of different points that you've touched upon. We'll get there one by one. Now, all of us agree, and we actually put out a video as soon as the team was announced that why the hell is Ashwin not playing? So, who should have Ashwin played ahead of? I think let's agree that that bowler should have been Umesh, right? Or do you see it other way? No, I
I
mean,
mean,
I really want to talk. Yeah, Anirudh, go ahead before I
yeah.
sort of.
I mean, look, in hindsight, I think we are saying Umesh because Shardul actually bowled pretty well. I feel that, he bowled with more control than we expected him to. I know that he was taken apart for about 16 runs in one over and about 8 or 9 runs in another over. But if you told me before the day that Shardul would bowl like this, I think most fans would have taken it for sure because he threatened the bat a lot. He swung the ball. He was the only Indian bowler to probably swing the ball today, I guess. Most of them seemed it, but Shardul actually got some swing. So here's where I am thinking that India should have played Unadkat. Forget, the bowling combination should have been Unadkat, Siraj, Shami, uh, and then Ashwin and Jadeja. Because
True. I mean,
Umesh,
yeah. Again, this is something that we will come touch upon right now. I mean, I just want to keep this discussion focused on Ashwin. That why
yeah,
do we feel so strongly that Ashwin should have played, and if he should have played,
I just
if
think
he, yeah,
I mean, you look at what happened in the final session. Australia scored 157 runs without the loss of a single wicket. Not
hmm,
sure if Ashwin had played the wickets column would have changed, but I'm sure India would have conceded at least 40, 50 runs fewer than what they eventually did. And I mean, we spoke about it in the preview as well. That you asked Smith, Labuschagne, Travis said, Alex Carey, and all these guys, would they rather face Ashwin or not face Ashwin? Any surface, any country, any track, any situation, I'm sure they would have picked the option to not face Ashwin because he's someone who keeps thinking. His shoulder never drops. It rarely does. He's always thinking. He's trying to outsmart the batter, and there is something on the mental block as well for the batter. Someone like a Carey who's yet to walk in, by the way, and someone like Smith, Labuschagne as well. Like they have had past experiences, past instances where even on flat wickets they've thrown their wickets to Ashwin. So yeah, I mean the control factor, exactly what Nikhil told, just spoke about a few minutes ago. There's a big drop off between Siraj being the third pacer, which was the case last year, and Umesh/Shardul being the third pacer, which is the case this year. So we are discounting the Bumrah factor completely. and I think that was a blunder. I think I'm not sure how much the management factored in the absence of Bumrah, because having Bumrah as your first bowler, Shami as your second bowler, Siraj as your third bowler, and having a fourth seamer is completely different from having Siraj as your first bowler, Shami as your second bowler, and then Umesh and Shardul as your third and fourth bowler. So the drop off is massive. So I think that is a clear blunder, in my opinion, that they did not expect that it would go haywire. But it's silly, because I think we all expected it before the match that this is one risk fielding such a bowling lineup could carry.
Yeah, I mean, see, the point is, Shardul, I can understand because he adds depth to the batting as well. But now, if should have played, and he should have played ahead of Umesh, now if you're going to ask Australian batters ahead of the test, that the one bowler that they are worried about, almost everyone, irrespective of them being righties or lefties, would have named Ashwin. And this would have been the case even with Bumrah in the 11. I'm pretty sure about it. And they would have just break the sigh of relief that, oh, Ashwin is not playing. Guys, I mean, they were already ahead at that point of time, because it's okay to not play Ashwin when, like you guys have already spoken about, when Bumrah is in the 11, or maybe when you're playing England. This is a side. Most of those batters are carrying scars against Ashwin, and you've picked essentially a bowler. Let me just pull up his stats here. Now, I really want to talk about Umesh Yadav here, because Umesh Yadav has been around the team for more than a decade. And as a fast bowler in Sena countries where you're expected to perform, where you're expected to deliver, he's averaging in the 40s. His economy rate is 4.2. So, I mean, I know that he is a workhorse at home. He's got as good a strike rate in Asia as any bowler, could have put together. But do you really see any point of India continue to bank on Umesh Yadav? Because at the end of the day, you would want your bowlers or your pacers to deliver where they are needed the most. Umesh is not going to win you series at home. You already have your ace spinners there. If a pacer is not going to win you games outside home, then what's the point of carrying the bowler? Won't you much rather use that spot in home test to sort of bleed in another bowler who would be much more handy? So I just want to ask a direct question. Given that this is an end of a cycle, should this be the last test that Umesh Yadav plays for India?
Yeah, I think this will be the last test for many of these players, both in terms of their cycles, in terms of test careers, and also what you have to also take into consideration when you are saying about Ashwin is that it's a 5-day game. The game doesn't end today. It was green, fine, but how many times have we discussed this in the preview as well, that very often the pitch looks very green, but it doesn't move so much. Today, though, there was movement all through the day, but when you know a bowler has a weakness like that of control, you pick two of them, and what you have to also see is, okay, they may have one bad day, but is this the first time that's happening with them? And what is the potential of them coming good tomorrow or day after? To be honest, he did not even look 100% fit. We don't even know, and we will never know, because transparency is not a thing. So, but the point with Ashwin is he adds control not just on day 1, day 2. That is any which was good. But if it eventually dries up as it is supposed to be, the weather is good, so it will help you on day 3, 4, 5. And a lot of people are also saying that, but last year you played 2 seamers, but then there has to be context. Last WTC final conditions were different. They were expected to be different right through the series, right through that one-off game. This time you knew the conditions are going to be slightly on the sunnier side as opposed to overcast, and you get the point of wanting to try the bowler, but the bowler also has to have that strength, which is why you should definitely take Jaydev over Umesh if at all you want to go down that route. You get dry spells option, you get batting option as well, but most importantly dry spells and a guy who you can use all 5 days.
Yeah, exactly. And we won't even know that why Unadkat is not picked. Is he injured, or what the reason be? In my opinion, not playing Unadkat is a mistake, but not playing Ashwin is a blunder. It's not even a mistake. And essentially, I mean, how can you not know the conditions? How can you not assess the pitch? How can you just be sort of blindsided by looking at the green top, cloudy weather? Ki bhai pitch aise hi rahega 5 days. No, it's not going to be the case.
No. Maybe they took Ravi Shastri's suggestion very seriously. Pitch ko nikal the equation se. That's what they did.
And if that is the case, then playing Ashwin is a common sense. So maybe
It's
common
not
sense is
common.
not so common. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I have I have a slight disagreement with Somesh. I feel that not picking Unadkat was the bigger blunder, because you're decided that you're going with four paces anyway. That I'm okay, fine, like still fine. Overcast conditions, green pitch. You think that paces are going to win you matches, are going to win you the match? It's fine. Then at least pick your four best paces, right? And I don't understand how anyone can think that playing four right arm seamers, none of whom are express pace. The quickest
Absolutely.
of them the lot is like Shami and Siraj, but even they tend to bowl in the high 130s most of the time rather than the 140s. And so, and Unadkat, we spoke about it. You need a workhorse, right? Like you need a workhorse so that you can allow your strike bowlers to function better. If Unadkat had bowled 7-8 over spells for conceding like 17, 18 runs, even if he's not taking a wicket, that builds pressure, that allows Shami and Siraj to bowl more freely, attackingly, and maybe batters will make more mistakes. This is what we saw with Ishant Sharma. I think we discussed in the preview as well. We saw it with Ishant, Shami, and Bumrah 3-4 years ago. That's what Ishant used to do. Not always the one who was taking the wicket, but he used to bowl dry spells, like Nikhil said, and that would create pressure. And that was the mantra of success for India in Australia 3 years ago as well. Like they did not give free runs to anyone. They did not give the free runs to Smith, Labuschagne, Warner, no one, and that's what created pressure and brought the wickets. But again, and you need a point of difference as well. And we know Jaydev
Yeah.
is probably the tallest bowler among the lot in the current Indian squad, and he brings a left arm angle on this oval wicket, which clearly had a lot of extra bounce in the first 30-40 overs at least. It had plenty of juice. And again, even if it was a simple plan, like you're asking Unadkat to bowl from over the wicket to Smith and target Smith's armpit or hips and get him glove to leg slip or keeper for 2-3 overs, that could have been a plan as well. But it felt like, because of the one-dimensional nature of the pace unit or the bowling attack India had, they basically started going through the motions after 30-35 overs, and they didn't know what to do until Travis had got to 95, and they suddenly got the realization, oh my god, like this guy can't play short balls and we have to bowl short to him. And that lasted for like 2 overs before they again went off the rails. So it was a complete disaster on all fronts for on the bowling front, I suppose.
Yeah, there's a comment that I'd like to take. It is from Arnab Ganguly, who's asking us, how much do you think prep week before the game influenced selection in the Indian setup? I'm not happy with the 11-2, but maybe Umesh had a better week leading up to today than Unadkat. So even then, guys, if someone is having a good day, you would always construct your 11 looking at the overall balance and just trying to create a point of difference, like what Anirudh said, right? If you'd have five pacers, all five right arm pacers bowling well, you can't just end up picking all five, right? You'd still want to have that variety, and Unadkat could have probably provided that variety. So it's just baffling on so many counts. Of course, India started well. The first hour was decent. Shami was slightly on the shorter side. When he was full, the lines were a little wavered, but India got Khwaja early on. Then there was a partnership. India got lucky with Warner's wicket. Probably just after lunch, Labuschagne a drop in concentration, but because I don't feel that ball really did as much as people must have felt that it nipped back in or anything. I think Labuschagne just played down the wrong line. But after that, absolutely nothing. So, Anirudh, talk to me about Head's knock. What do you think? Can this be his summer? And just what did India do wrong while bowling to Head?
Can this be his summer? I mean, he's already had his summer last summer, so that will be like back-to-back summers for Head. But
But this will be the
it's,
away summer, the summer that
yeah, yeah,
matters.
yeah. I mean, again, I think they gave him a lot of width up front. I think that's something you can't do against Travis Head in this form he's in. Not even form. I mean, he's kind of tweaked his technique, and if you can notice, this is almost the same shots used to get out. The same kind of shots he was playing, he was getting out of those balls 4 or 5 years ago. But Now he's found a way to, kind of control it better and find the gaps. But it just, I don't know. I mean, I just felt that India took the conditions and the situation for granted, and they just thought that, okay, well, we've got Labuschagne. If we just bowl to Travis Head now, he will probably, just give his wicket away or something like that. Just too many balls outside off, and I remember clearly that even Siraj and Shardul bowled on his pads as well, and he kind of clipped those aerially for four, and that is bread and butter for Travis Head. And in this, if you watch Travis Head in the last 18 months, you know that he just eats those kind of deliveries, right? He just loves those kind of deliveries, and the only delivery that troubled him in the South Africa series as well was the short ball that was probably around the armpit or shoulder length. Again, fair enough, India did not have a pace attack that could probably exploit it as well, because again, like I said, no tall bowlers, no express pace bowlers. But as you can see from this pitch map clearly, there are, like, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dismissals on length. uh, Maybe they could have resorted to the short ball strategy a bit earlier, but by the time they resorted to that strategy, he was on 80, 85 already, and it was far too late, and the damage had been done. But full credit to Travis Head. The clarity is absolutely staggering. The clarity in his thoughts, regardless of the situation he's batting in, the conditions. You saw it in India as well. You saw it in the South Africa series as well. We've been seeing it for about, I would say, since the Ashes, and since the Ashes, last Ashes, where it started with a knock at the Gabba. So it is just brilliant.
Do you want to take that before I move to Nikhil? With
No,
some
I mean, it's
specific
just like
questions?
when I started watching cricket, I think Australia was the first team I kind of watched on television, and I didn't quite know as a kid that you are supposed to support your country and all that. And I just started supporting Australia, and it has stuck with me for the next 20
Yeah.
years, I guess.
Also Cam Green, but yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I just want Nikhil's opinion here. So, Nikhil, I mean, looking at this pitch map now, if this sort of data is available, and you mentioned earlier that Ashwin was picked looking at data, ke bhai, pitch won't be assisting him, and so on and so forth. If you have that data available, why wouldn't this plan opted for earlier? I remember this plan, India opting with the plan of bowling short to Travis Head only when he was 92. And the bigger question is, why was this plan shunned immediately after he got to his 100? I mean, 99 pe out karo ya 105 pe out karo, you have to get him out. If a plan is working for you, why would you shun that plan out before getting the batter? It just, I mean, I don't see the logic to it.
Because there is no logic to it. Also, what you have to remember is, I'm actually surprised. Indian management will be surprised that Travis Head was picked, because Travis Head has not scored a century in England. So had he
Yeah,
been Indian, he would
Indian
have been,
management would not have picked him, no.
exactly, because
Like,
his
doesn't
current
matter if
form-
you have 400 test wickets, doesn't matter if
totally.
all the Australian batters are scared of you, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You won't pick him because I
See,
mean,
what
it's just,
if you are in form? What if you are in
yeah,
form? It doesn't matter, bro. It is England, different
yeah.
conditions. So
We'll
again,
just go ahead and pick a mediocre bowler. Our bowler has been mediocre for a decade over someone who's probably who would have started in every other 11 and who would have been captaining at least half the test sides in this world.
Just last test, Ahmedabad test match, flat deck. Just look at his bowling. Look at the bowling numbers. Look at the way he bowled. Look at the amount of wickets he took when the ball was doing nothing for anybody. To me, it is disrespecting your own legend. That I understand that you are saying that 327 made might have been 265, but it matters. That 265 for 5 is far better than 327 for 3. And of course, they will say that we are ranting on Ashwin, but it's like controlling the controllables. If there is a thing that where you can definitely do much better, you should do it. And for time, and like the plan that Travis said, they start up. It is sometimes you just don't know what are they trying to do. They don't bowl full to the two openers, but then they bowl very full Travis at a guy who loves to face full bowling. So it's just inexpressible that sometimes maybe they got the names wrong on the plans. That David Warner, oh, let's bowl short. Travis said let's bowl full, and then they realize, oh, wrong sheet. So then they swapped the plans, and again they shunned the plan. And the thing is, they shunted the plan because they didn't have pace. So they were like,
Yeah.
if we do it, what if he keeps hitting more boundaries? Because and which ways we have lost a lot.
Talking about plans, was there any plan that you guys could figure out for Steve Smith? I mean, I didn't see one. There were times when there was leg slip. There was a time when the keeper came out up to the stumps, but it just happened for a few balls. Nothing systematic, nothing sort of plan. I mean, did I miss out because I was on the verge of being, dozing off in the middle of that test for a lot of occasions. But something that you guys felt that, oh, India's trying this to Steve Smith.
Yeah, I
I think
think
the
they
plan.
yeah,
No,
go
no,
on.
go ahead, Nikhil. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I think there was a plan right at the start in terms of, and they did get a lot of edges of his bat, and but Smith was smart enough to play with soft hands so that they don't carry. And I think there were two clear plans to bowl just outside off to him on the fourth, fifth stand, which is what resulted in a lot of edges. And there was a definite plan to bowl full and into the stumps because you saw Shardul trying that. You saw every bowler try at least once in his spell to go really full on the stumps. But again, Smith is Smith, and I mean, it tells a lot about how good Smith is that even when he is not looked at his absolute best, he's found a way to eke out a very good score for himself just by being there. And a lot of times, a lot of people keep asking, put the pressure back on the team. Sometimes staying there is also putting pressure back on the team. Sometimes just being there for 50, 100 balls also makes bowlers look for different things. They try different things, and that results in bad balls, not just for you, but also for the guy at the other end. So, just another day for Steve Smith to just show how good he is in terms of. I don't think he was far in control. His control percentage data might tell us that there were enough false shots as well, but he just found a way to hang in there. And credit to him because I do think slight rub of the green was in Australia's favor, and they deserved it too, maybe with the way they batted, because there were a lot of edges that didn't carry off head as well, that went past the slip fielder, went over the slip fielder, went over the stumps. So then again, you make your own luck.
And
Yeah, I mean,
I think
just to draw a
the
parallel, the Smith head partnership just felt like watching Pujara and Pant, batting together, and that's the
yeah,
sort of effect that the two had. But yeah, Anirudh.
yeah, I think the initial plan was to again cramp him on the leg side only. I think they were trying to do that a lot, but that changed after a while, and they were trying to bowl outside off. But what Smith did really well today was he just kept defending and defending and defending and defending and defending, and he knew that at some point he'll get the bad ball, and he did not put every bad ball away, but he did enough. I mean, that says a
Hmm.
lot because he's batting on 95 not out, and he's faced like 227 balls, which is almost 60 or 70 more than what Travis Head did. But he just kept on defending without getting greedy. I think that is something he did really well. He never got ahead of himself. A couple of cover drives, he did not think that okay, this is wide and this is outside off. Let me try to cut it. He did not do that at all. He just waited for the perfect opportunity to pounce, and he did pounce probably. If he got like 10 bad balls, he put like 6 or 7 away, and because of the pace at which Travis Head was batting, I think that was enough. And I think there were a couple of occasions on which he clearly took the game on, which was when Jadeja was introduced for his second spell. I think he danced down the wicket and hit him over mid off, and then he scored a boundary on the same ball again. So on in the same over again. So those couple of instances, but again, I think Smith clearly knew that this Indian attack does not have enough to trouble him throughout the day.
Exactly. And
So yeah.
sorry to interrupt here. See, the point is when we keep harping about people with control, it plays on the minds of people because you're bowling as a partnership. If Steve Smith knows there is a Bumrah and another guy who will not give me anything, or who will not allow any other batter to really score freely, then is when you try other things versus other bowlers. So that's where the chances of a false shot also comes in, and that's when you can afford having a high variance bowler like say Shardul or Umesh. That okay, there are two people who are keeping it very quiet. So whenever you have that high variance bowler coming in, if they are, there is a chance for that guy to be in the game. But as Andrew rightly said, it's those exact words. Smith knows there isn't enough in this lineup to trouble him, so he can take his time and he can play on their patience because he's known them in the past. So it just helps in terms of building your own innings as well, where you're not hurried into let me score a few runs before I get out.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, now looking at, although it just seems like that first day has pretty much decided the course of this test match, but looking at it from an Indian perspective, Nikhil, do you think, I mean, how can they salvage the, how can they try and salvage the game from here? What should be the target that they should have in mind, that they should be restricting Australia to below this, and maybe just actually feel that the wicket is as flat as their bowlers made it look, and then go on and chase the first innings target first and take the game from there. What do you think India's mindset would be going back to the dressing room today?
Firstly, I'll hope they all get good rest because their fitness will be tested. They're all coming off a grueling 2 months, wherein you'll need that recovery time very quick because tomorrow's, like always, day two, first session will be the session that's the most crucial for India to stay in the game. Because if Australia go ahead and go past 450, then it is going to take monumental 2 days of batting for India to just stay in the game. Forget about trying to force a result or something like that. And with rain predicted, again, that's not something that you can control. But if they can keep them below 450, take a 120 run cushion for a 7 wicket, you'll have to firstly trigger a collapse. And it is possible. There was help right through the day for the bowlers. So it's just about getting together, forming better plans, and coming up with an idea that okay, you have a session and a half, you are able to probably consider 100 runs more, but you're taking 7 wickets. Here, this is not the place for the tail to wag. There is no room for that here. So that I think will be the first step. You keep them below 450, then you have a semblance of hope because oval usually is very good to bat on the first 3 days. So if you are able to keep them under 450, you still have as much time as they had to just get into the game in terms of get a decent score at least, so that they are in the game and not all completely out of it. So for now, I'll take a 450 run kind of a score and try and bat at least 1.5 days. So 3 days into this test, uh, maybe you are par or 50 runs behind, and then you take it from there. But I don't think you can think too far ahead right now.
Hmm. From an Australian perspective, Anirudh, do you think the game is already done, or
No,
uh,
no, no, absolutely not. It's like 327 for three. Again, need at least 450 to probably be secure, to have a secure score so that the
no,
bowlers
I
can
mean,
at
for
least
450 from here
just
should
keep up.
be it should be a cakewalk, guys. I mean, we're talking about
Yeah.
120 runs with 7 wickets remaining.
I mean, you never know in
With
England. That's the thing.
against a bowling attack that has just literally looked toothless.
Yeah, but you never know with the Duke's ball in English conditions. You just never know if Shami goes on a hot streak and he takes 2 3 wickets, what could happen. But again, the one factor here that unlike the Border Gavaskar Trophy, I think Australian tail is capable of adding 40 50 runs here. I think it was like they barely got 10 15 runs in the Border Gavaskar Trophy except for the Ahmedabad game where I think Todd Murphy scored a 40 something. Apart from that, uh, first 3 matches nobody contributed. But yeah, I mean it's about taking it again hour by hour for Australia. Their first target should be to get through the first hour without ideally losing anyone, but probably worst case losing 1 wicket. That is because I feel Cameron Green and Alex Carey both will be handy on this in England, because especially Alex Carey, because I mean I know that he was a walking wicket in India, but we know he just chips in with the runs always. He's done that for the last 18 months since his debut. When the he goes under the radar a lot, but he can chip in with the odd 35 40, and that is a very crucial thing to keep an eye on. But I also would like to hear your guys' opinion on the new ball, the timing of the new ball. India were already like dead by the time the 80th over came, and then they decided to take the new ball for like 5 overs. And how much did they concede? About 30 runs, if I'm not wrong. I have to check it, but yeah, I mean, Travis had feasted on it. That I'm sure. So to be exact, in the last 3 overs with the new ball, in last 4 overs, India conceded 26 runs with the new ball. So what do you guys think of the timing of the second new
Yeah,
ball?
for me, the only two decisions that I don't disagree with are the decision to bowl first. I felt that is all right. And the second one is to take the new ball then, because 5 overs is nothing. The ball still be new when they come out to bowl tomorrow morning. I mean, like you said, right? With Duke's ball, you never know. So later in the day, even the batters are tired. So 5 overs, you never know if one of them would have been out. It still would have been Australia's day by a mile. But I mean, with old ball, though, वैसे भी not a lot could have happened because nothing was happening anyway with the old ball. So they had to try. They did try. So it's like, I mean, I don't mind that.
Yeah, because see, to be honest, even with the toss thing, I agree because Pat also wanted to bowl first. So it's not something that you can blame the captain that okay, why would you opt to bowl first? It was just the execution. And tomorrow, whenever in Australia bowl, is when we will actually see the difference between the two bowling attacks. That which one has a lot more depth and control, as opposed to the one that we saw today.
Yeah, because a
I
lot
mean, I
of
think.
folks in the comments feel that this is a flat track. I don't agree. I feel it's the way India bowled, it seemed like a flat track because there are no flat tracks in England. As far as I have seen, whenever India have played, of course, there have been one odd. I remember the Trent Bridge Test of 2014, which was as flat a wicket as that could have, as any could have been. But this surely didn't seem like a flat wicket. But yeah, who's to say what's going to happen? Yeah, I know you were saying something.
No. I mean, I was just saying. I think I kind of forgot what I was saying. We had so many conversations. We can move
Feels like an
on.
Indian bowler. Feels like an Indian bowler today.
Yeah, jaded and time to take the second new ball now.
Yeah.
Yep, I think there was not a lot to discuss about today, and yet we ended up blabbering for 40 minutes. Let's hope from an Indian perspective or from a general viewer perspective that there is a more evenly fought day tomorrow so that there is something to look forward to in this no which in this game which is being dubbed as the ultimate test. It's a final which doesn't seem like a final for I don't know so many reasons, but yeah, I mean we'll be here tomorrow. Anirudh, Nikhil will return, and hopefully Gurkiraj will be back with in a better condition, better health. He said that his worst nightmare was a 300 for 4 kind of a day for India. It is even worse than that. It's 327 for 3. And by the time by lunchtime tomorrow, if Australia are 400 for 4 or something, we would literally be staring down the barrel, so to speak. Any parting words, Nikhil and Anirudh, before we wrap up?
Yeah, just wanted to say we had Smith in our heads. That is literally what happened on day one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hopefully, a more bowler-friendly day tomorrow. It gets too boring to watch.
See how smart of an Australian fan that okay,
Well done.
it's a
Well done.
bowler friendly day tomorrow, so that India is okay. They can get 100, and then Australia can get them all out. Nice.
Perfect. So let's see how it pans out. And those of you who tuned in, thanks for joining us. You please like the video, subscribe to our channel if you've not done that already. And also, we'll be here for all 4 days, no matter how bad it is for India. Nothing more to say. I'm already a little angry, a little sad, but a lot more sleepy. So good night. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, अब आदत हो गई. Bye.